From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Now on CBS News Bay Area, private donors are stepping up to combat San Francisco's RV problem.
Well, the city's agreed to help, so I'll be able to save a little money.
More on the programs that aims to get people out of their RVs and into a home.
Plus, the season of giving begins with a Thanksgiving food drive.
We're seeing the need of the people because people are hurting right now.
More on the food drive in Bayview, where the need has been growing.
But first, it's a big day for soccer fans in the Bay Area. The excitement around the NWSL championship game happening at PayPal Park.
Live from the CBS studios in San Francisco on this Saturday night, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. The soccer world has its eyes on San Jose tonight for the National Women's Soccer League championship game. The Washington Spirit and Gotham FC are facing off right now in front of a packed house at PayPal Park.
Amanda Harry live at PayPal right now. Amanda, how's it going?
This is a championship match and people are turning out for it. We've seen a ton of people coming to this park right now. We can see they're still going in. We hear the national anthem going on right now, so the game hasn't quite kicked off, but they are getting ready and the fans are getting to their seats, going through the security, making sure everything is safe here. This was the scene earlier today, a couple miles away at FanFest. A parking lot near Montgomery and San Fernando Streets was transformed into a block party with music, food, and fan activations. That was from noon until 4 p.m. Then fans moved to PayPal Park for the National Women's Soccer League championship game between the Washington Spirit and Gotham FC. This is one of many major sporting events happening in San Jose over the next couple of months. There will also be some World Cup matches, March Madness, and of course, the Super Bowl. But we spoke to one fan that says this event is extra special because it's women's sports.
I love the women's sports community. Everybody is so nice, friendly, everyone wants to talk and have a good time, and even people who are rooting for the other team, they're still willing to talk, and we all just love it, and so there's just something like it.
We'll be out here all evening talking to some more of these fans, and we'll have an update for you later on at 11 o'clock about what happened in the match and what all these fans think about it.
Amanda Harry live in San Jose. Amanda, thank you. Well, switching gears, that unfamiliar bright object in the sky today was, in fact, the sun. But there is always fog waiting to pour back in. That's what it's doing now. As for what it's doing next, well, here's Darren Peck.
Just a fantastic time lapse there of the marine layer streaming in. We're going to have some fog tomorrow morning. Here's why I would say that. Futurecast depiction is showing us what's happening across the state as a whole. We're going to look at us in 1 second. But look what's extending its way all the way down, once again, through the entire Central Valley, going all the way down to Fresno and Bakersfield. Here's the Salinas Valley. Let's come home. This is us. We were not filled in like this on our Saturday morning. This is Sunday. Look at the timestamp there. That's Sunday morning at maximum marine layer extent. What we're going to have, as we just saw from the time lapse, this is going to be good old-fashioned marine layer that filters in and fills in much of the bay. And if we look at this in a slightly different way, let's bring it back home and take a look at a closer vantage point for us. And you can see, I'll just bring us ahead to that time frame. This is the 7 a.m. time frame. So we'll wake up to some gray skies tomorrow. It'll also be relatively cool if you look at where we're going to be in terms of how it's going to feel out there. Temperatures are going to bottom out once again down into the low and mid 40s. Those are your morning lows. I'll see what the full forecast coming up in a bit. We'll put some daytime highs on here, and we'll look out in the Pacific, see if there might be any rain. See you in a few minutes, guys. Back to you.
The whole thing looks too much like June, but all right, we'll stay tuned. Thanks, Darren. The private sector is helping San Francisco move people out of their vehicles and into permanent housing. The city's new unit hold program offers landlords 1 month's rent if they reserve vacant units for people who are living in RVs.
The program brings needed support to a community dealing with the effects of a recent ban requiring RVs and other large vehicles be permitted. This is what some streets in San Francisco looked like a month ago before the new rule took effect.
A map shows where San Francisco's homeless were living as of September. The green dots mark the locations of vehicles and RVs being used as shelters. There's just under 500 in all. Don Lynn's got a look at how the new pilot program works.
Here on John Muir Drive, next to Lake Merced, dozens of RVs line the street. Most of them have a city-issued permit, allowing them to park here while they wait for housing to open up. The mayor hopes a new pilot program will add some much needed housing and help RV dwellers to move into permanent homes.
The first of this month, I got my permit, and it's good for 6 months. Caseworkers have been assigned to us. My caseworker's been out here a couple of times.
Alan has lived in his RV on John Muir Drive for about 10 months.
Refrigerator and freezer. I got a queen-size bed in the back. Air conditioning. I have heating throughout the entire place.
Even though he's made this temporary space feel comfortable, he says what he really wants, it's a permanent home.
I can't afford to live in the city without help. Well, the city's agreed to help, so I'll be able to save a little money. Maybe be able to find something else elsewhere. I am not capable of working, doing manual labor. I've had 3 strokes and 4 TIAs.
The 69-year-old, a reformed convict, relies on his monthly $1,200 SSI check. He welcomes any program that can help people get off the street and into stable housing.
A single room, an SRO, like a hotel or a single apartment, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mayor Daniel Laurie on Friday introduced the $450,000 pilot program funded by private donations. It will pay 1 month's rent to property owners who reserve vacant units for qualified RV dwellers like Alan. The nonprofit Catholic Charities will coordinate the program and match landlords with participants.
If we get more people involved with advocacy, if we get more residents speaking up for the unhoused rather than calling them in as a nuisance, I think we can turn the tides and try to help. Good morning.
Erica Wang and other homeless advocates spent Saturday passing out flyers and talking with RV dwellers to make sure they know their rights. She says there still isn't enough affordable housing to meet the need.
We've had RV parks in the past, but those have been shut down by the city. Why can't we have more RV parks? Why can't we provide more access points for people to get the support and the supplies that they need to take care of themselves so that it's less of an issue in the neighborhoods?
The city admits the need is far greater than the available supply, which is why they say they're trying out different solutions. But city officials also say tents on sidewalks and RVs sitting in the same spot for months aren't sustainable. The 6-month parking permits are designed to give RV dwellers a pathway into permanent housing. Anyone without a permit can be towed if they stay parked longer than 2 hours. Alan says he's feeling more optimistic after seeing others recently find housing.
A few days ago, they found places for 2 people, and they moved over to Park Merced. I see positive things.
The city hasn't given a timeline as to how long it'll take to house all these RV dwellers, but the goal is to move them into permanent homes before their parking permits expire.
This new effort to support the homeless comes as new data shows more than 1 million people in the Bay Area fell into poverty back in 2023. That's a report by Tipping Point Community. The Bay Area's poverty rate increased from 12% to 16% over the span of a single year. It's a sign of how the cost of living has ballooned for many folks.
Well, San Franciscans are doing their part to make sure everyone has a Thanksgiving meal next week. People in the Ingleside neighborhood donated turkeys and fresh vegetables to the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. Mayor Daniel Laurie was on hand to help out and talk with volunteers at the 14th annual turkey drive. The founder of the event shares the event's humble beginnings.
So I was wondering to see if my neighbors wanted to come to bring me a turkey, so I bring to St. Anthony. And the first year I collected, out of the 2 blocks of my street, I collected 19 turkeys. So I thought I had something, a winning situation here.
We don't know how many turkeys were donated this year, but last year the food bank received over 1,200 turkeys. And in the Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood in San Francisco, a church is stepping in to provide turkey dinner for the community.
John Ramos has got that story.
When we do stories about food insecurity in San Francisco, we often focus on places like the Tenderloin or the immigrant community in the Mission District. But Bayview Hunters Point is a working class neighborhood where, for many people, working is no longer enough to make ends meet. As a shipyard during World War II, Bayview Hunters Point has a history of hard work. But now it's hard work just to survive. And these days, the enemy can be hunger.
They're dealing with, should I, pay for my medicine? Should I get food just to eat? And so again, this is our way to help supplement that, to take the ease, to take the burden from those who may be struggling with that decision.
Providence Baptist Church in the Bayview held its Thanksgiving food distribution with all the trimmings for a traditional holiday feast. But it also provides food for those struggling on every other week of the year as well.
So individuals have the opportunity to come in and get things that you and I would actually purchase in a grocery store, except we recognize that they may need them for free, and that's what it is. So individuals are now shopping their way at the Providence Pantry, choosing what it is that they want.
It bothers me because if they have to struggle for food like that.
Outside, I met Keith Williams, an electrician who makes good money, but admits it's still not enough to be comfortable.
Even when I do take my check or take my money to go shopping, it's still a calamity. I have to come back and still worry about other things I have to pay for. I just drink water. You know, I don't really mind about something being in the refrigerator. I don't care. As long as some water fills me up, I'm good.
Back inside, that gap was being filled, and it was enough to bring first-time volunteer Diane Warren to tears.
Oh my God. It's gonna make me cry. It's a blessing. You have to care and show compassion, that you care about each other. It goes a long way.
We're seeing the need of the people because people are hurting right now. People can't even pay their bills right now because of the cuts and the budget and what's going on in the community.
It's going on in a lot of communities, and Keith says he doesn't know what would happen if food banks like Providence Baptist Church didn't exist for the people of the Bayview.
So they're gonna be like me, just have to drink water.
But you can't live on water.
I know that, I tried it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, coming up, trash is piling up near a hotel turned homeless shelter in San Jose. How the city is responding to the public health concern. We'll be right back.
See. And welcome back. In San Jose, folks living near the Bristol Hotel on Bascom Avenue are complaining about their new neighbors. It was one of 5 motels converted to house the homeless. They say that ever since the city cleared out its largest homeless encampment, big problems have emerged. And Kara St. Cyr has this report.
Since opening in August, neighbors of Bristol Hotel say they've noticed massive amounts of trash and litter pileup. The junk, along with discarded syringes, grocery carts, and RVs lining the street, prompted nearby residents to reach out to the city for help.
It's a big concern for not only me, for many people who have kids going to school and passing by.
Marina, who's asked us not to show her face, lives near the shelter. She and her neighbors are concerned about the lack of accountability.
I feel like what the city doing, it's only like trying to do minimum.
Marina's neighbors sent 311 complaints to Vice Mayor Pam Foley's office.
We are aware of individuals reaching out to Vice Mayor Foley's office and to other city departments with issues around cleanliness near the site.
Sarah Fields, a spokesperson for the housing department, says they're working with community partners like the San Jose Bridge program to manage the trash pileup.
The crews from the SJ Bridge program have visited the site 6 times. They have collected 30 large trash bags, and that totals to just over 1,000 pounds of trash, again, from the beginning of September to the end of October.
It's not dangerous or unsafe, and it's not messy or loud.
But a woman staying at the hotel says the residents aren't responsible for the mess, and the complaints are a mischaracterization.
Nobody wants to upset the people that we live around. Like, you know, even like when we were homeless, we didn't want to upset like the families that were around us.
Bristol Hotel is one of 5 transitional housing sites throughout the city. Each site is under a 2-year lease. Field says the program will be reevaluated when the leases end, but she doesn't anticipate any changes as of now.
Have this feeling from the city that we are making noise and we just complain because we don't want homeless people live nearby, but it's not true.
Marina says she sees a simple solution.
But it has to be really well maintained so it will be safe for everybody.
Keeping the area clean and safe for all to enjoy.
Oh, we've got wonderful things to see here in the weather forecast. You see what the virtual set has to say about the marine layer, which is trying to creep back in. And now as we get into more of the nighttime visibility on here, you really see the cloud deck that's trying to squeeze in through the Golden Gate. Look at the time lapse. This goes back just about 2 hours. See it spilling over the Marin headlands, certainly surging in over the Golden Gate Bridge. That is not only going to fill in the immediate Golden Gate and the immediate bay, it's going to fill in the entire Bay Area tomorrow morning. Let's come back to the virtual map. I'll show you why I'd say that. We're going to say goodbye to what we're looking at on here is a loop of the last 2 hours of satellite imagery. And now what we're going to see is the futurecast depiction of how that fog is going to fill in the bay through the morning. I'll get out of the way so we can watch that. How cool. Couple of things on here. You see it fill in pretty much the entire bay. It goes down past Coyote Valley, tries to get all the way down to the very southern end there of the Santa Clara Valley. It'll certainly fill down towards Salinas. We talked a moment ago about how it's going to fill in the entire Central Valley, but that's homegrown fog that they've made from the wet ground. Here, a lot of this is a combination of the two. We're pulling stuff in through the Golden Gate, and we're also creating some of our own fog as well, because let's not forget, we've gotten some decent rain, especially down in the South Bay. So the ground is saturated enough that when we get cold enough, you can develop some early morning fog. Most of this will be elevated, but there's likely going to be some issues with fog again for tomorrow morning. We had some this morning. The usual suspects are going to be up here in the North Bay. Look at Napa Valley. Look how this is filling in. You can kind of even see the contours there. We'll likely encounter some fog on the road there. I think we will encounter some of this as fog on the roadway down here in the North Bay valleys. But as we come down here and look at it through the Golden Gate, what we were just seeing in that time lapse, it should be elevated. It's just a harmless stratus cloud coming in within the marine layer. Shouldn't necessarily be too much fog unless you're at the beach. This will likely also be problematic for fog tomorrow morning along the coastline. Let me clear out that image and instead let's actually put on some of the numbers. I'll show you what the morning lows are going to look like tomorrow. We left off on this story a moment ago, low to mid 40s. So certainly cold enough on here that you're going to feel it, much like you have been for the last few days. There's Monterey at 46, Salinas going to 44, and you can see Redwood City going to 48, 43 in Petaluma. Let's clear out the lows and take a look at where we'll be for the daytime high. That fog's going to melt back by the time we get to late morning, kind of like it did today. So you'll see more sunshine than anything else tomorrow, with numbers here climbing almost exactly to where they were today. This is pretty much an exact repeat of where you were. 7-day forecast has 7 more of those. There's not a whole lot of change. Great news if you're trying to make your travel plans for the holiday. Look at the inland microclimates here. Low to mid 60s. It is a little below average. You should be in the mid to upper 60s this time of year. So if you want to be technical about it, it is cooler than average, but there's no rain in any of these terrariums. Not for the travel day on Wednesday, not for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. If you were with us last night in the forecast, we were looking at the possibility of Sunday, the final day of the 4-day holiday weekend, maybe having a small chance of rain that we needed to watch. Well, we've been watching it, and we're taking it out. Doesn't look like Sunday's going to be a problem either. Great looking 7-day forecast there and a good looking holiday. All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Darren, thank you. Coming up, a surge in travel as people head out for the holidays. We'll have a report from SFO coming up. Stay with us. And welcome back on this Saturday night. Holiday travel set to surge ahead of Thanksgiving, as it always does. And we caught up with people landing at SFO this weekend ahead of the holiday. Here's Kelsey Thorin.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and with that, of course, comes the annual rush to get home for the holiday.
My daughter lives in Pleasanton, California, right near the Bay, and my son lives in the LA area.
Ted Stieg flew in from D.C. to be with his family for Thanksgiving. He said his flight was a breeze.
I got great help from people who helped me with the luggage and a wheelchair, so that made the flight very easy.
According to SFO officials, Friday is the busiest day for air travel. They estimate about 160,000 travelers will pass through. That number is up from the same time last year, but still remains below pre-pandemic numbers.
So when we compare this to maybe Thanksgiving 2019, this is about 93% of what we saw back then. So it will certainly be busy, but is it record setting? We're not quite there yet.
In total, SFO is predicting 6.3 million travelers between Thanksgiving and New Year's, up 4% from the same period last year. According to AAA, San Francisco is the 7th most popular domestic destination for Thanksgiving. We met several people flying in not just for the holiday, but for a myriad of celebrations. Amy Marone Martinez is here for just a few days.
We're just here for the weekend and watch the Stanford football game.
Manuel Villalobos is here on his honeymoon.
We're going to Napa Valley, so we're gonna do the air balloon and things like that.
But a majority of people we met were flying in or out for the holiday. Thankfully for everyone, while the stream of people in and out of the terminal was consistent the entire day, no one told us their trip was too crazy.
We were surprised how empty it was.
You can look at the smooth lines there, so that's pretty good.
Well, the Golden State Valkyries are giving an assist to East Bay families this holiday season. They partnered with Youth Uprising to give out thousands of meals, as well as blankets, beanies, and other essential items to families that were there. We heard from the Valkyries about why events like these are so important.
The Golden State Valkyries, we're here to bring joy, lighten up the mood, and provide resources for any and all individuals so that they, one, can feel seen, heard, and get the resources that they're due.
The event comes as food banks across the Bay Area have reported record high demand. For example, the SF Marin Food Bank says they've seen more than 3 times the amount of people coming in to pick up food.
The saga continues over Marjorie Taylor Greene's fallout with the president. What Trump had to say this morning about the Congresswoman's resignation.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
And welcome back to a back and forth continuing in D.C. between the president and a once loyal ally, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Last night, the Georgia representative abruptly announced she's stepping down in January. CBS News' Willie James Inman is in Washington with reaction from the White House.
A day after Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced her plans to resign, President Trump took aim at the Georgia Congresswoman.
I just disagreed with her philosophy. She started backing perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history, this stupid person named Massey. And I said, go your own way.
The president once again called Greene a traitor in a Saturday morning social media post. Greene says she will step down in January.
I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for.
Greene had been a devoted Trump follower, but parted ways with the president in recent months as she pushed for the Justice Department to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Georgia Republican says she has faced threats after the president's sharp criticism last week. In a social media post on Saturday morning, Greene told her followers, "There are no leaders that will save this country, but you, the American people, can."
Now to some consumer headlines. Waymo will be expanding driverless testing in the North and East Bay, as well as in parts of Sacramento and Southern California. The robo-taxi company said it got approval from the DMV. Expect to see the robo-taxis in Marin, Contra Costa, and Alameda counties. Eventually, they will be going to SFO after getting approval to pick up passengers earlier this year.
We also got a mixed picture from the jobs report yesterday, delayed after the extended government shutdown. The U.S. added 119,000 jobs in September, better than expected, but the unemployment rate did rise to 4.4%, its highest since 2021, and that could signal a rate cut at the Fed's next meeting.
Also on your Consumer Watch, expect to spend more for Thanksgiving dinner this year. Holiday food staples like turkey, cranberries, and green beans are up compared to last year. Frozen wholesale turkeys this year will cost you nearly $1 more than they did last year. However, lettuce, milk, and potatoes have stayed steady, and butter, bread, and eggs are actually cheaper than last year.
Well, that extended federal shutdown and rising grocery prices have a lot of families struggling to have enough food, and that's where Second Harvest Food Bank in the Santa Cruz area comes in. Evan Feely has that story.
On a wet evening, the main parking lot of the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk turned into a lifeline. Second Harvest Food Bank Santa Cruz County launched an emergency response community food distribution. Most people who came through chose to remain in their cars, so we talked to the team of volunteers who kept the operation moving box by box.
My name's Lily Pheasant, and I'm out here today on behalf of the Long-Term Recovery Group of Santa Cruz County. I'm with the California Emergency Response Corps, and just out here to help get some food out to people.
Lily says their goal was to provide food for about 1,000 people, many facing new gaps in assistance.
With the government shutdown, I think a lot of people lost out on benefits, and I know that that's been hugely impactful for so many people. I think that's super important to just fill the gaps that are missing in the federal government right now, and yeah, just make sure people have the support they need.
Volunteers say the need has been growing, and community support is what keeps these distributions going.
The need has increased over 150%. You can't have a community without everyone looking out for each other.
From fresh produce to meal essentials, the team worked car to car, making sure that every driver left with what they needed. For many volunteers, showing up like this feels personal.
Community support looks like, literally putting food in people's cars so they can go home and have a good Thanksgiving meal.
Second Harvest will continue pop-up and emergency distributions throughout the season, working to make sure that no one in Santa Cruz County goes without a meal.
And if you want to support our Food for Bay Area Families drive, you can scan the QR code on your screen, Brian.
Yeah, you'll be able to donate food or funds or your time to food banks across the Bay Area. Just head to kpix.com/give to learn more.
Well, up next, taking one hit after another, a wildlife rescue in San Francisco is now struggling to stay up and running. Their efforts to keep their mission going. Next.
And welcome back. A San Francisco wildlife rescue is in need of some rescuing itself. After recently losing funding grants, the facility is having a hard time staying afloat. Amanda Harry tells us what happened and what's next.
I'm just curious if she
These are two elderly
Yggdrasil Urban Wildlife Rescue is filled with animals, turtles, opossums, and squirrels, all in need of a little extra care.
This year, we've had the most animals come in needing help and the least amount of donations. The world is hard right now.
You've made a big mess out of your enclosure. Founder Lila Travis says they usually help around 700 animals a year. This year, that number is going to be around 850.
The whole purpose is to raise them to be released back into the wild, to give them a second chance at a normal life.
But now the rescue is fighting for its own survival. This year, they had 2 major grants come to an end, as well as some unexpected expenses.
This cage right here cost $6,000, but we really needed it, so we bought it.
The nonprofit runs on a shoestring budget of just $100,000. In August, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife changed some regulatory laws. Now, they'll have to make upgrades that come with a hefty price tag.
It's great that they did that, It just comes at really bad timing because we just don't have the funding coming in to be able to make those kinds of adjustments right now. So that's why we've had this emergency fundraiser.
This little opossum was part of the fundraiser this past weekend.
Yeah, he's pretty
He's
wonderful.
about 4 months old and came in this summer.
I like more
They
treats.
quickly realized he doesn't have eyeballs, making him blind and unable to go back into the wild. Travis says he has the perfect demeanor to become an education ambassador and go to classrooms, but he doesn't have a name yet.
We said, hey, for $5 you can buy a ticket and give us your name suggestion. We're actually going to carry that on online.
The fundraiser generated enough money to get them out of the red for the rest of the year, but they're already gearing up for another one in the spring, and they need to find a long-term solution.
We need sustainable grant funding that we can count on every year in order to reliably be able to do this work. You don't get up close and get to meet wildlife animals, especially in cities, you're not going to care about them. And if we don't care about them, we're not going to try to save them, and that extends to our environment in general.
Coming up, a wicked witch heads west. We'll tell you why there's an explosion of pink and green at theaters across the country as Wicked Weekend kicks off here in the Bay Area. Darren?
We're tracking the marine layer filling back in again. A beautiful time lapse this evening showed us the clouds mean business. This is a quick look ahead to tomorrow morning. We're going to wake up with more of this. Some of us will likely encounter fog on the roadways again. We had that this morning. It's going to be cold again, too. Low to mid 40s. We'll look at all that. Plus, when's the rain coming back? Forecast on all these things after the break.
Your community, your news, powered by KPIX. CBS News Bay Area. Watch anywhere, anytime. Stay informed and connected. Trusted local news when you want it. CBS News Bay Area. Watch free on any device.
All right, the good news is, as of now, we don't have a fog advisory here in the Bay. But look at the virtual map. There's a lot of the rest of the state that does. I'm going to start out up here in the Sacramento Valley, and you can walk this down. The entire Central Valley right now has a fog advisory. If we do the Futurecast on here and watch what the visualization looks like for this, you're going to see the fog fill in overnight tonight. I'm going to show you our little branch of it in a second. But look at all this going down into the Central Valley down there. Just kind of filling everybody in. That's their fog advisory. Thule fog is not to be messed with. That stuff is on the road. It emanates out of the ground, basically. That fog develops right there. It's not like it's convecting in and getting dragged in here from somewhere else. It's not like it's getting advected in. It's just forming right there, which means it's really dangerous to drive through. Ours will probably be a little different. Notice how it's not totally connected. It's not like our fog is coming through the Carquinas. Our fog is actually coming in from the usual way. That's live satellite, and you can already see the marine layers developing out here tonight. And when we put that back into the Futurecast and watch what happens, you're going to see how we do build in some of the fog the traditional way, fills in much of the Santa Clara Valley, and then the Thule fog starts to develop afterwards. Why does that matter? It matters, first of all, did you notice we don't have a fog advisory? They do for parts of Solano County from this, but we really don't for the rest of the Bay. This is going to be elevated off the ground. The majority of it will, with a few exceptions. There are places tomorrow morning, even if you don't have a fog advisory now, it's very likely you could have some issues tomorrow. I'll take a look at Napa Valley up there. It's just beautiful on here where you can actually see the detail of the fog spilling right up into the valley. Same thing with the North Bay here. Even though some of that's coming in through the Petaluma Gap, we're going to see some of that down on the ground. And look at the coastline down the peninsula. These are the usual trouble spots where you do indeed end up with some of this as fog down on the road. So just be ready for that tomorrow morning, even if you don't have a fog advisory. We saw it today. Okay, we come back home for a closer view of the bay, and let's take a look at how the fog clears away, and let's put the morning lows on here. So we know we're going to wake up with some low clouds. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 40s. This is where we start at about 5 a.m. tomorrow, and then we'll see the warm-up settles in for the afternoon, and those numbers end up in the low 60s. This is a little below average for this time of year. We should be in the mid to upper 60s for daytime highs. So it is a bit cool out there. You see what it looks like down there from Monterey and Salinas and Santa Cruz and clear up to Santa Rosa. Everybody's pretty much in the same boat here with these numbers falling in line. 7-day forecast time. Not a whole lot change here. No rain, not in the next 7 days, and not even beyond that. We can look at some of the less reliable longer range forecasts going out. Day 10, day 14, nothing. It's about to get quiet around here. So take a look at your holiday forecast. It looks great, low to mid 60s, and we'll round the 7-day forecast out. And I'll show you what it's going to look like for the Bay, and you'll see a similar story. Temperatures aren't really not even all that different than the inland microclimates either. All right, guys, back to you.
It's a wicked weekend at the movies across the country and the Bay Area. People are flying to watch the sequel to Wicked, called Wicked for Good. And we talked to excited fans at the AMC Kabuki Theater in San Francisco.
We're so excited.
We're really excited.
We listened to the soundtrack on the way over here, so we're ready.
Yeah, and we actually saw the first one together when we were abroad.
Last year we went to see Wicked. It's the best movie ever. It's so good.
You're the only friend I ever had.
I wonder how many movies those little kids have seen. It's nice to be excited about seeing a film, though. The industry thinks the movie could rack up $150 million at the box office, and that would soar past the first Wicked film. It opened with $112 million this same weekend last year.
2, 1.
There it is. The holiday season is officially underway at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. They unveiled their life-size gingerbread house, complete with festive lights, nutcrackers, and a completely edible exterior.
Sweet goodbye happening at Nob Hill. After 70 years, Bob's Donuts and Pastry Shop is preparing to close, but just the original location at 1621 Polk tomorrow, the same old reason. The owners were unable to come to an agreement with the current landlord. And we stopped by today as they gave away free crumb donuts. This is probably why we stopped by. As a special thank you, they gave those away to customers. Customers told us that they will miss the old location.
It's an end of an era, you know. I mean, there's such a patina in the walls and whatnot. And I've been to the new location, and although it's nice, it I don't know, it just doesn't really quite have, you know, the character. But, you know, it's a new era in San Francisco, so, you know, it is what it is.
Yep, time marches on. The original shop will close for good at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Good news is you can find them at a new location, as that fellow mentioned, just down the street.
Well, coming up, from piano keys to an apartment key, we'll introduce you to one BART busker who's worked his way out of homelessness. If you've been around any BART station, you've probably seen someone performing for tips.
Kevin Coe spoke to one pianist who played his way off the streets and into housing. Watch.
The feeling on most BART platforms during rush hour can be intense. The crowds, the noise. But for some lucky commuters, a joyous sound lightens the mood. A piano busker has made his name for the music he plays. But for 20-year-old Mark Dyson, it hasn't been an easy road. Mark says he left an abusive family situation in Ohio, driving across the country for a girl, a decision that didn't go as planned.
Let's just say day 2, I told her I loved her. Day 3, we blocked each other.
The Bay Area held hope for the aspiring animator who continued to make YouTube videos.
Hi, I'm Mark. All right, there you go. Now you know.
He had a choice to make.
I could get a job, or I could go full-blown homeless mode and try to live my dreams.
Mark joined nearly 40,000 others in the Bay Area living without a permanent home.
The next several months, I was living in my car in the Planet Fitness parking lot. And that was certainly something. Very lonely, very dangerous, but it gave me like my own safe space. Like I had a place I could call home.
Holding a full-time job is difficult, as Mark is diagnosed with bipolar disorder, autism, and ADHD. With few options, Mark fell back on something he'd been doing since the age of 4, playing piano. He began busking at BART stations and went all in.
You know how they say don't put all your eggs in one basket? I am putting all my eggs, along with the hens and the roosters, in this one basket.
So far, the gamble has paid off. Literally. He started a year ago, and since then, BART riders like Rod Kilpatrick have taken notice.
He's very skillful, and he's got a mind like an encyclopedia. I wish I had the courage to do something like that, and the skill to do it.
By playing piano, Mark has been able to afford an apartment in the East Bay. He's working to save up and looking toward the future.
This is not something I want to do forever. This is very, very dangerous. I have been robbed from multiple times. I see lots of things happen down here.
While not taking this unconventional path for granted.
Everyone says, oh, you must be so brave. You must be so hardworking. No, dude, I'm just really, really lucky.
Wow, these two play piano.
Not as well as maybe you do.
Not so
Darren.
bad. It's not as well as that guy.
Well, appreciate you watching. We'll be over on the broadcast side at 11 o'clock tonight.
Until then, the news continues streaming on CBS News Bay Area. Good night.